everybody, and welcome to another episode of Andrew Discusses, where we pretty much just talk about random shit. That's basically the point of it. And believe it or not, I've actually been rewatching some clips of The Simpsons on YouTube. I mean, very few, and the ones that Disney hasn't copyright struck. You know, because Disney now technically owns their ass, but still, I forgave Matt Groening for not yanking his show off of Fox when he had the chance. I basically made peace with myself, but still, there are some Simpsons episodes that I really do like. A few of them that are definitely highly improved upon the crap storm that divided the fandom, which was the Principal and the Pauper. That was literally what divided the fandom, because you have the ones that will say, and I agree with them, by the way, that The Simpsons jumped the shark and it kind of did start to suck after that episode aired. And then you have the ones that say it got way better. Of course, I will always say that no matter how bad a show gets, no matter how horrible it might seem, there's always those rare episodes that still have that diamond in the rough sort of nostalgic vibe to them. Like, they know what they want to do, they do a good job of telling the story, and they are a real, gem. And then they're immediately followed by a slog of what I would assume would be massive crap, but still you at least get a decent jolt of good shows. So of course I cannot think of a better episode to start off this discussion. I mean, this is like the first of a few discussion videos that I want to do about The Simpsons, but I really do like this episode. It's actually one of my personal favorites. So one of my favorite characters in The Simpsons is actually Marge Simpson, the matriarch of the Simpson family in a way. She is basically I want to say she is literally the point of solidarity in the insanity that ensues amongst the house. She is constantly keeping up with Homer. She constantly is able to make food on I would assume it's like a really, really thin string budget that she has. Not only that, but she is put up with all of Bart's antics, with Lisa's constant need to be perfect. Maggie's just Maggie, there's that. But you figure she has put up with everything, and she always tries to find the good in people, which was actually a point when the town of Springfield decided to throw the Simpsons out, that Mayor Quimby and the rest of them brought up, is that Marge was the worst of the Simpsons because she found no fault in them. She always tried to look on the positive side. Well, no, it's actually not a fault. That's a good thing, because she was determined that there's still goodness in them. Let them get this out of them, and there will be goodness in them. And it's proven, too, because she knows that there's goodness in Bart. She knows that Bart's not a total hellraiser that everybody makes him out to be. I mean, an entire teaching organization has him known as the devil in the blue shorts. He is feared by every babysitter in Springfield. He is terrifying to anyone. You mention his name, people start wetting their pants. And then you have Homer Simpson, who's basically known to drink anyone under the table at Moe's Tavern, with the exception of, I would assume, Barney Gumble, because, well, let's face it, Barney Gumble basically lived at Moe's. So, of course, you're going to have those rare episodes where Marge is going to constantly find the good in her family. She has no choice in the matter because she believes there's goodness in them, and there is. Homer isn't an insensitive jackass. There's episodes that prove that, like when he really buffed up his right arm and was doing arm wrestling, he realized that Marge is more important to him than whatever the hell it was he was doing, and he went back to her. With Lisa, she was able to finally understand her daughter in the episode when Lisa was sad. She was able to finally connect with her and realizing that, I can't push my feelings onto you. You really need to be your own person. And she finally understood that her daughter is her own person. As for Maggie, like I said, Maggie's Maggie. You just stick her in front of a TV, or put Santa's Little Helper or Snowball 2 there, and yeah, not a freaking problem. So, and with Bart, like I was mentioning, Bart, well, he shoplifted in the one episode in the early parts of the series. And she didn't have a look of anger. She wasn't mad at him. It was just the disappointment that she felt at the fact that he had just robbed a store, but he didn't get away with it because they ended up catching him and he wasn't allowed back. Then he snuck back in to get a picture, and she just felt disappointed. So then he actually ended up doing a really nice thing by getting his own picture taken and getting it added to the family Christmas picture. Granted, I will admit, kind of stupidly, but still, it was a nice gesture. He fought really good about that, and he really tried. So, when it comes to Marge-centric episodes, and there have been a few of them, I'm constantly enjoying those. I mean, there was the one when she became the Listen Lady. You have the one when she was taking over the pretzel wagon thing, which, honestly, that was a bit of a weak episode, but it was one of the better Fat Tony introduction episodes, I guess you could say it was. I mean, I don't remember him being introduced prior to that. Then again, he might have been. I just remember The Simpsons as like this massive jumble of episodes when I was growing up. I mean, I used to be able to tell you, with like the early Simpsons episodes, I could tell you the plot of the episode in 2 minutes flat. And my mom, I remember this, because it was like a Wednesday night. I would always do this, because it was like 5 and 5:30. The Simpsons were on one channel. That was Fox related. Then I would turn over to its sister network at 6 and 6:30 for another dose of The Simpsons, and then back to the other one at 7 for yet another Simpsons, because that's how they just did that, the lineup on those channels. And I could tell you literally what the episode was in like 2 minutes flat, just from how it starts. So, of course, I am a huge Simpsons nut. At least I was. I haven't been able to keep up with it, and in all honesty, well, let's just face it. I mean, it's been on for 30 years. You're eventually going to be able to lose track. I can't remember every single thing. But as far as the old school ones go, I don't think I've lost my touch yet. But one of my favorite Simpsons episodes actually came pretty far into the series itself. Fact be, it actually premiered when I was in middle school, and I have a lot of fond memories for this. And I know somebody out there is going to go, well, you're going to be talking about that episode. They can kind of tell which one I'm going to be talking about, because I said Marge is one of my favorite characters. It happened in season 14, and you've obviously read the title of this video, because I know for a fact that's the first thing a lot of people look at if I don't have an interesting thumbnail. Sorry, I don't have interesting thumbnails. Sorry. But the interesting thing is that this is one of my favorite episodes that's Marge-centric. And it's episode 295 in numbered sequential order, but season 14, episode 4, Large Marge. Now, the episode basically starts off with Homer and Lisa having a bet over a History Channel documentary between Thomas Dewey and Harry S. Truman, with Homer going that Dewey's going to win, and Lisa already knowing the outcome. So she's basically stacked the deck in her favor in this one. And since she wants to spend time with her father, and she does enjoy it when they do spend time together, I mean, save for the time when Homer actually used her gift to pick winning football teams, and basically just screwed over what he called daddy-daughter time, and upset her because she realized that he only cared about her because she could pick winning teams. It does kind of make sense that she would take any opportunity to make sure she could spend time with her father. Whereas Bart and Marge get along really well. So Lisa wins the bet, obviously, because it's freaking the History Channel. It's a documentary. Nobody's gonna get this wrong. I mean, it'd be interesting to watch the History Channel and go, okay, so this is the history of the Mung Beetle, or oh, this is the part about the Titanic. Well, I bet you the Titanic will get to New York, Dad. Oh, yeah, not a problem, sweetie. I'll bet you, well, we'll go bowling this afternoon. That sounds like fun, right? Yeah, sure, okay, we'll go bowling this afternoon. So if the Titanic makes it, we'll go bowling. If it doesn't make it, we need to go on a nature walk. Sound good? You know who's going to win that bet, basically. So, because Lisa won, she wanted to do build houses for the destitute. It was called Domiciles for Destitutes. It's basically Habitat for Humanity, but without copyright infringement. Ironic, because they ended up getting the three presidents doing a Three Stooges gag. You had Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, and Jimmy Carter. So, yeah, it's sort of an ironic twist there. And this would be like the second time that Bush Sr. would actually be in The Simpsons, because there also was that episode prior, like many seasons beforehand, when he was Homer's neighbor, and him and Homer were basically having a Dennis the Menace kind of argument over Bart. So, yeah. But still, I digress. So the episode continues on. Homer's painting the wall, and Lisa notices that he gets paint on his wedding ring. This is after he wrote something on the wall that he thought was clever, but it wasn't clever. So, I'm not going to say what it was. You can easily look up. Just watch the episode. So he takes his wedding ring off, only for Lisa to realize that it's tinfoil wrapped around a bandage. And he says that my real ring is in a turtle. So we have Lindsay Naegle and Cookie Kwan who come strolling in because they're trying to find suitable husbands. And they spy Homer with the wedding ring tan line because he's just taken it off, and helping out Lisa paint by lifting her up so she can get a little higher. So they figure, okay, this is perfect. He'll be the one that they want. So they start fighting over him. Well, he basically, at some point off screen, breaks it to him that, I am married and, this is my actual daughter. And begins to explain to them how Marge brought Bart into the world. Because I guess it must have been a very excruciating, labor. But apparently, I guess, giving birth to the devil must be. Because how Homer was describing it. And you figure, yeah, Bart is apparently the devil in the blue shorts. I still love that line from that episode. I really do. And it's like a later on when Mrs. Krabappel gets nominated for a teacher award. It's like, she could dance with the devil in the blue shorts and live. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's tangled with him many a times. But, so Marge and Maggie end up wanting to surprise Homer, and they stumble upon him. She thinks that he's flirting with Lindsay Naegle and Cookie Kwan, where in actuality he was just explaining how Marge had brought Bart into the world. This leads Marge to kind of think that he doesn't find her attractive anymore. She starts questioning herself, and this is where the episode becomes a lot of Marge-centric. Now, there is a B-plot involving Krusty the Clown being on an episode of the old Batman show in Milhouse, and Bart finding out about it after watching it on TV, wanting to duplicate the stunt at school, which was that Krusty as Clownface tied up Batman and Robin onto a carousel and was basically going to make them, as he put it, literally blush themselves to death. So they figure we can do this at school by putting them on and I never get what that damn thing is, but it's like the giant circle with the pipes in it that you hold on to. It just goes around and around in a circle. I loved it when I was a kid, but I can never think what the name of it is. But they basically, do that the next day. So that's the whole B plot, because then that ends up getting Krusty in hot water after Milhouse, who's now really dizzy, disoriented, and basically like anybody that's ever been on a massively extreme roller coaster that has never done a roller coaster before, he just pukes. And it was just the timing, the area, the events that were happening as the school was getting some veterans of Iwo Jima touring the school grounds. It creates a massive hysteria when Milhouse pukes on the flag, basically. So that's the B plot. The whole town of Springfield wants Krusty the Clown basically off the air, with Reverend Lovejoy holding up signs, Principal Skinner holding up signs, like it was cancel Beavis and Butthead crossed out, cancel something else crossed out, and then Krusty's down at the bottom with Skinner's sign, with Reverend Lovejoy holding a sign that says puke, and then what the puke acronym is that they're trying to say. So that's the B plot. Back to the A plot, which honestly is the main focus of this story, because you don't have Marge being the central focus. So, and this is the thing that I like about this. This makes this a Marge-centric episode, is the A plot. The B plot honestly could have just disappeared entirely, and I don't think anybody would have cared. It would have just literally been okay, that happened, and walked the hell away. Or, okay, Krusty's in hot water again, and just walked away. I mean, the clown basically owed the fucking mafia. I mean, how many freaking times does he owe the mafia? But still, there was that. So, when it came to what had happened, you had Homer basically trying to, as Marge thought, flirt with, other women, but he wasn't, so she mistook this as he doesn't find her attractive anymore. So, of course, she turns to Manjula, who has experience with her husband cheating on her, as Apu had cheated on her with the squishy lady, which was a nice little nod back, proving that there is some canonicity betwixt episodes, which is really good, seeing as, the Simpsons could basically, anything could freaking happen. So, Manjula ends up convincing Marge to go to the local plastic surgery center to get a little bit of liposuction. As the receptionist puts it, it's a 10-minute suck and tuck, but unfortunately it ends in a botched operation where Marge accidentally gets the set of breast implants that were technically going to be going into Mayor Quimby's intern at the taxpayer's expense. In all honesty, that's actually one of the best lines in the episode. You have Mayor Diamond Joe Quimby making the comment, "Where are the new knockers the taxpayers paid for?" Basically saying that, no, I'm not paying for this. The taxpayers paid for this. The taxpayers paid for my assistant to have these done. But a mix-up caused Marge to get them. So this is what kind of makes this one of my favorite episodes. Because like I said, Marge has always been one of my favorite characters. And it wasn't after this episode either. This was before this. She was always one of my, secret favorite characters. We all have those. Like if somebody were to ask you about, oh, well, you like this show, like who's your favorite character? You're going to say one of the main characters, but you're going to keep quiet about the one character that you really like the most in that show, no matter how much they torture you about it. You're always going to say, oh, no, I don't like that character, but secretly you like that character. It's one of your favorites. We all have that. So Marge confronts what I'd like to call the plastic surgeon version of Dr. Nick Riviera, and basically explains to him that what he did was a botched operation. He goes, come back in 48 hours, he'll take him out. She goes that she'll have Homer rearrange him as a little malpractice, basically on him. And he's just kind of laughs that off like, yeah, your husband's going to be really furious at me. And the whole thing then goes to, like I said, then the B plot starts up again. And we're back to the A plot where Marge is at home trying to adjust to her life now. And realizing that, she can't even hug Maggie when she falls. And it's like, okay, this is going to be a problem. But she goes, I'll have these silly things out in just 2 days. She just has to try to hide them from the family. And this is where the episode, at least, I like the episode. It's one of my favorites, especially Marge-centric wise. But they had so many deleted scenes that you saw in the TV spots, the commercials, and the coming up next on The Simpsons, like during the freaking, post-game show with Terry Bradshaw squawking for God knows how freaking long after a football game. Because, that just freaking happens on a Sunday on Fox. So, you have this, and all those scenes were basically right in the trash can, because it goes from, she goes, I'll just try to hide them from the family, to immediately talking about the B plot incident, and Marge just popping her head around the corner saying dinner and breakfast are on the table and not feeling well, she was going to go to bed. And it's like, that's it. There's no trying to hide it. There's a deleted scene where she tries to hide them in the sink as Bart's coming in. She tries hiding them with pots and pans. There's quite a few other ones that I remember seeing things for, but they never amassed into the episode. And like I said, we could have cut the B plot down a little bit, added some of this in, and it actually still would have been a good episode. And it is, like I said, one of my favorites because I am a fan of Marge Simpson. I really am. So the episode continues on with, she's basically tucked in really insanely. Like the blankets are so wrapped around her it isn't funny, because she wants to make sure that Homer doesn't find out, but Homer finds out, and her secret's blown. It basically lasts like a day, and her secret's blown. So the kids come in. Lisa reveals that she had already seen him earlier. She was working on her off-the-cuff response in the hallway. Homer goes, hey, let's go out to dinner tomorrow night. You, me, the kids, and, everything else, because I'm not going to be an insensitive jackass and say what he said. But you have that. I mean, a lot of people are going to think I'm already a jackass for talking about this episode, but like I said, Marge is one of my favorite characters in the show, so when it comes to Marge-centric episodes, I have my favorites and I have my unfavorites. There is that. So, it basically goes that Marge, Homer, Lisa, Maggie, and Bart go to Luigi's. God bless Luigi for trying his damnedest to keep a restaurant going, but how in the hell he keeps a restaurant going, I'll never know. He serves, as he puts it, crap from a can, which you can literally see it is pasta that has been in a can. He just dumps the can, and it still has the shape of the can. As Mrs. Skinner was so pleasant to explain that it's as cold as her love for her son. Well, not her son, depending upon which canonicity you want to go with. I mean, he's still Armin Tanzarian, or he's Principal Seymour Skinner. I don't give a crap which. So, it gets better, doesn't it? Yeah. So after everybody in town kind of sings to her and serenades her, Marge realizes that, hey, this could be the little bit of excitement I've been looking for in my life, and decides to not get her, implants removed, and thus starts a life of trade show modeling. Meanwhile, the B plot, Krusty's now being forced to really safety conscience the show. The kids are getting annoyed that his show sucks. It's like, bring out Mr. Teeny, as Nelson yells, but he can't because he had to release him into the wild. The show's going downhill. Bart feels responsible. And eventually they realize that, okay, there's a way we can do this. We gotta fix Krusty's reputation. And they do find a way to do that. Meanwhile, Marge is still suffering from the highs and lows of her new lifestyle. The low being the back pain she's now having from having the larger, chest than she's normally used to. And she even admits it to Bart that, it's not as cracked up to be because she's getting attention from all the wrong kind of people. So the whole episode basically ends with Krusty trying to do a massive stunt to rebuild his reputation. In this case, we bring in Stampy, Bart's elephant, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So Stampy basically takes him, Milhouse, and Homer into his mouth and is gonna hold him hostage. The police are getting ready to shoot him. Krusty forgot the safety word to have, Stampy release his hostages, and Marge, realizing that she has to find a way to get the cops to stop, flashes the entire town. And thus ends the Simpsons episode, as she goes back to normal, and the family just goes about their daily lives. And like I said, this is one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons because it stretches way beyond what you would normally expect a Simpsons episode to be, and even in general, because you have Marge, the matriarch of the family. She never cares about herself entirely, but more about her family. She wants to make sure that, they're happy, that they're healthy. Because there was an episode when she started losing her hair from stress, and they came to her aid wanting to try to figure out how to help her. Of course, then we also got Sherry Bobbins and all that fun bullshit, but still, there was that. But, of course, you also have the whole fact that she's not used to having the attention that she was getting. That's what was making her really happy. And what it is basically whenever somebody gets a massive amount of attention, be it like a person, a celebrity, or anybody in general. I mean, you could take literally one random person in the world, you shower them with attention for like 20, 30, 40 minutes, and they're going to think, it's the greatest thing in the world. Take it away, and it's a dopamine high, basically, is you need to have more of it. So, of course, Marge isn't used to having everybody in town actually, look up to her and just basically admire her, period. So she kind of leeches onto it, riding the dopamine high, which you figure, like I said, anybody would do. But she also serves the point to realize that, look, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. I didn't want this, but it's thrust upon me, and I'm starting to hate it now. And she just shows the whole other opposite side of it. Plus, it also proved the fact that you don't have to have exaggerated body parts to be considered beautiful based upon other things. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, look at Homer. He somehow got her. Okay, well, it was a shotgun wedding. We all know that. I mean, she got knocked up with Bart. It was a shotgun wedding. We all remember it. It's been in the history books of The Simpsons. We all know it. But you basically have the fact that he got her, and in essence, that's the entire thing. She's not used to having this, air around her that she's considered beautiful by people other than Homer. I mean, to Lisa, Bart, and Maggie, she's mom. To Homer, it's Marge, my wife. To everybody else in the town, oh, look, it's Mrs. Simpson, the one that has to deal with her family's antics. So when she finally gets a chance to shine and really, kind of step out of her shell for a little bit and, breathe a bit of fresh air and basically step into the outside world, realizing that I don't want this then, and wants to retreat back, it actually is a good metaphor for basically human nature in a way. But it's still one of my favorite episodes. And a fun fact is, when this episode aired, it was November 24th. I was actually trying to learn how to draw again. like really try to get back in the drawing. And I actually remember tracing a lot of the pictures from this episode because I recorded it on tape. I paused the tape and I would record and I would like trace out pictures from it just to try to get a feel of how to draw characters. So, I mean, I have a lot of memories with this episode. It's one of my favorites for a reason. Of course, then you also have like so many other Marge centric episodes. I mean, there's the one when she got addicted to online gaming. There was the one when she became addicted to gambling. You had the one when she empowered herself after getting mugged. But of course, that one kind of falls into my not so good episodes then. The first half of it's really good, but then it kind of goes into the point of no return, basically, where, okay, this isn't exactly one of my favorite Marge episodes, at least from the second half of the episode onward. But for episode 295, I'm actually really fond of this episode. It shows Marge in a totally different light, unusual for her character, and the fact that she's actually able to come out of it with a newfound respect, I would assume anyway, a newfound admiration, knowing that, okay, that's what it feels like to have attention. That's what it feels like to be, admired by so many people. And I don't want that. I'm happy with my life as it is. Just, my kids love me. My, husband loves me. The cat and dog like me because I feed them. I'm content with that. And it's basically she got a taste of what the rest of the world is, and she realized it wasn't for her. And it's a really good episode for that. So if you ever get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. But as far as like my favorite Simpsons episode, that is definitely it. Besides the fact that you have like so much going for it, it is just a really good episode. I just wish we would have had less of the damn B plot. I mean, Krusty's in hot water. Krusty's always in hot water. When the hell isn't that clown in hot water? But yeah, I mean, this episode actually had like mixed to positive reviews. And this isn't like a review of the episode. I honestly did like this episode. I mean, they could have went really out of the ballpark here. It basically looked like, and I want to stress this, I'm a guy, okay? I kind of know, it's sort of like one of those encoded into your DNA sort of things because of a primal instinct or whatever they want to call it. You kind of can tell, boob sizes in a way. And yes, okay, hey, look, I do at least like one boob-related topic a year if I can help it, so I don't think I did one this year yet, so consider this my, related topic for the year. Let's just call it that. But basically, it just looked like they took her up from like what I would assume would be an A cup to like a double D. That's about it. So it's not like a massive jump. I mean, they could have basically like done porn star size or something like that. But they did it in a more sensible way because there are a lot of people out there that, go for that exact size, from that size to that size. There are others that, go in between. So this is like an episode to forewarn them, like, look, this may not be what you want, but it may be what you want. The fact that the animation didn't go over the top with it, that they didn't actually screw around with, like, changing up the angles, they kept everything clean. They made sure that nothing could possibly even get them close to like an R rating for an episode, or a TVMA, well, TV show, so TVMA. They did a really good job of it. The fact that it just screams a really good episode, especially for a Marge-centric episode, because she does not get that much time to shine. I mean, The Simpsons is mostly more Homer, Bart, Lisa. Those are the three main characters that you have more stories dedicated to than Marge Simpson herself. So when Marge gets an episode, it's actually quite refreshing to see a change of pace, because you know that this is definitely going to be something that's going to be way outside her comfort zone. And she's going to have to try to adapt to it. I mean, when she was the listen lady, she was giving advice. When Ned Flanders kind of took it and ended up disappearing, yeah, that caused a problem. Plus, you had Reverend Lovejoy, who now was out of a job giving advice because everybody went to Marge. When she was the pretzel lady, she basically was starting a war with the other group of women from Springfield who went into, I think it was like a PETA type deal. And they, basically were rival food companies. So Marge was making something that she kind of had an understanding of, but at the same time, wasn't doing it, with other people. She was proving that she could do it herself. You had the whole gambling one. You had the gaming one. You had the one when she became like a business person. She owned like her own. Oh yeah, so when she opened up that gym for women. So that was really cool. It was like half a dozen episodes. That's, like I said, she's one of my favorite characters. Like the secret character that you always like at the end of The Simpsons. Like any show you watch, she's always like the secret character, and that's the one that I always like. It's Marge Simpson. But of course, she may not be your favorite. She's one of my favorites. I mean, Homer's a close second. Bart, being like third because he's like kind of tied with Homer. Lisa's a solid fourth, and then going further down, I mean, we're talking like the top 10 here. Mo Sizlak actually kind of hits the top 10 list for me in a way, but of course, I still gotta go with like a lot of the other like one-liner characters in the show. But Marge Simpson's always like that secret favorite character that you always have, and I'm not afraid to admit I'm a Marge Simpson fan. I'm not afraid to admit it. But still, I like the episode. It's not a bad way to go about it. And the story does work, like I said, because you have the fact that she wanted a taste of something outside the reality as she got it, the idea then in Luigi's. She was given basically an accidental botched procedure, which does actually happen. I mean, look, you ever pull up some creepy pastas or you ever read a couple of those, believe me, you'll have nightmares for the rest of your life. That's why I steer clear of them damn things. I read 2 of them. I still can't close my eyes all the way sometimes at night. But still, stuff like that does happen. I mean, nothing in the world's perfect. But the fact that Marge was thinking, you know what, I'm just going to roll with this because it seems like something that just happened to me. I can't control that it happened. I don't really want to argue with it. But at the same time, realize that this isn't for me. I'm happy, the way my life is. So, of course, I like that with the episode. And also the fact that it literally just, it was so good of an episode. I mean, I just can't stress it enough. I mean, I actually burned out the VHS tape that I recorded it on. I actually wore it out. I tracked down, because it was part of a 4-episode DVD entitled The Simpsons Kiss and Tell, The Story of Their Love. I actually had to track that thing down, and I found a copy, which I sold then later on because I needed the money. But I actually had found a copy of it because of how good of an episode it was, just literally for that episode. I mean, none of the other ones really thrilled me because, honestly, it was a shotgun wedding. How in the hell she is still with Homer is a mystery to me yet. I'm amazed she didn't leave his ass. She must find something really redeeming about him. And like I said, she's one of my favorite characters because she can try to find the goodness in people. That's one of the few flaws that I have. I try to find the goodness in people. I do think that people are good-intentioned in the long run. And eventually I am proven wrong. Sometimes I'm right, but most of the time, at least 85%, I'm wrong. I know, it sucks, but still. But either way, so what are your thoughts on this particular Simpson episode? Did you ever see episode 295? What's one of your favorite Simpsons characters? You like Bart, Lisa, Maggie? You like Mr. Burns? Tito Fuente from the episode of Who Shot Mr. Burns? Principal Skinner, Groundskeeper Willie? Moe, Barney, Lenny, Carl, Ned Flanders, any of those names, any of those characters one of your favorites? You have a secret favorite character? Let's get a discussion going here in the comments section. And until next time, I'm Andrew Rhodes, and this has been Andrew Discusses.